Good evening, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated Journato evening headlines on April 28, 2022. Be kind to your mother-in-law, the victim of clichés, urges Pope. China cracks down on price gouging amid food shortages. The Guardian, Shanghai's desperate resistance against China's failed zero-COVID policy. The Telegraph, Beijing in race to contain COVID outbreak and avoid Shanghai-style lockdown. Evening Standard, China lockdown, Yiwu latest city asking residents to stay in compounds, villages. Bloomberg, Watch, Shanghai's desperate resistance against China's dystopian zero-COVID policy. Moldova facing dangerous moment, amid fears it could be drawn into Ukraine war. The Guardian, Moldovans living under pro-Russian separatists warned they will be eliminated without warning. The Telegraph, Russia accused of false flag attacks in Transnistria to drag Moldova into war. iNews, Factbox, what is the breakaway Transnistria region of Moldova where tensions are rising? Reuters.com, where is Transnistria and why is it being drawn into Ukraine war? Disney tells investors Florida's attempts to repeal private district are unlawful. The Guardian, Disney government in dark about effect of law dissolving it. The Independent, Disney's self-governing district says Florida cannot dissolve it without paying off its debts. CNN, DeSantis Disney fight carves niche beyond Trump. Bloomberg, Disney's governing district says Florida cannot get rid of it until bond debts are paid. Donetsk separatists' desperate draft campaign empties streets of men. U.S. to seize and sell Russian oligarchs' property. BBC, U.S. prepares to sell Russian yachts to fund Ukrainian war effort. The Times, Biden seeks new powers to use oligarchs' assets for Ukraine. The Independent, Russia sanctions, Biden seeks new authority to go after Putin's rich allies. Bloomberg, latest Russia-Ukraine war news, live updates. In an era of electoral fragmentation, Labour must learn to embrace power sharing. UN Secretary-General describes war in Ukraine as absurdity in 21st century. The Guardian, Ukraine war, UN chief visits towns where evidence of mass killings uncovered. Sky News, UN mobilizing team to evacuate civilians from besieged Mariupol steel plant. ITV News, a grotesque spectacle in Moscow. The Telegraph, UN chief Antonio Guterres says war an absurdity as he visits sites around Kyiv. Boris Johnson accused of revealing Ukrainian military secrets by former head of Polish army. The Independent, Britain to send anti-ship missiles to Ukraine to prevent blockade of Black Sea. The Telegraph, Ukraine, what are Stormer armored vehicles and Starstreak missiles? Evening Standard, Boris Johnson tempting evil by revealing Ukrainian soldiers trained in Poland. The Guardian, Britain's Brimstone anti-ship missiles will arrive in Ukraine within weeks. COVID-19, Denmark suspends COVID vaccination program with health chiefs saying virus under control. Sky News, Denmark becomes first country to suspend COVID vaccination program. AOL UK, Denmark suspends COVID vaccination program with health chiefs saying virus is now under control. Daily Mail, Denmark suspends COVID vaccination program as officials say virus is under control. The Independent, Denmark pauses COVID vaccination program as virus is under control. Russia deploys trained military dolphins at Black Sea naval base, according to analysis of satellite images. Sky News, Russia deploys trained dolphins at Black Sea naval base, satellite images show. The Guardian, Navy-trained dolphins deployed to defend Russia's fleet from underwater sabotage. The Telegraph, satellite images show Russian-trained dolphins at Sevastopol harbor. The Times, Russia uses military-trained dolphins at Black Sea naval base, satellite imagery shows. Samsung 2 a.m. running advert is not representing the truth for women. BBC, Samsung accused of being tone-deaf over advert of lone woman running at 2 a.m. The Telegraph, Samsung under fire for tone-deaf advert of woman running alone at night, Nottinghamshire Live. Nottinghamshire Live, Samsung ad slammed as tone-deaf for showing woman running alone in London at 2 a.m. Evening Standard, Samsung ad featuring woman running alone at 2 a.m. criticized as naive. Ukraine war, Ben Wallace backs Liz Truss and says Russia should be pushed out of the whole of Ukraine, including Crimea. Sky News: what military aid are the UK and other countries sending to Ukraine? Evening Standard: the West must double down on support for Ukraine, says Liz Truss. Guardian News: further arming Ukraine will only destroy it. The West must act to end this war now. The Guardian: Britain finally has a powerful vision for its foreign policy. Singapore defends execution of man with mental disability. He knew what he was doing. The Independent: Singapore executes man with learning difficulties over drugs offense. Sky News: Nagantharan Dharmalingam: Singapore executes man with IQ of 69. The Times: another Malaysian to be hanged in Singapore wins reprieve. The Independent: Singapore defends drug crime execution amid outcry over man's IQ. Rush to get emergency contraception into Ukraine as reports of rape rise. The Guardian: girl, 14, raped by Russian soldiers pregnant and warned against having abortion. Daily Record: thousands of packets of emergency contraception sent to Ukraine amid rape crisis. The Telegraph: Russian soldiers forced women to find victims to rape and shot men who stood in their way. UK government admits to processing delays for Ukraine visas. The Guardian: Home Office failing to tell Ukrainian refugees they have UK visas for weeks, claim officials. iNews: around 1 in 5 refugees granted homes for Ukraine visas have arrived in UK. Evening Standard: Harrogate's warm welcome for first refugees from Ukraine as support floods in. Harrogate Advertiser: the number of visas issued to Ukrainian families by Northeast councils. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.